Josh D'Amaro, if you're listening, I have a message for you.
You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job.
Go, Uncle Joe.
Your job.
You with him too?
I like that, yo.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hey travelers, welcome back to Roberto's Room. So I thought, based on all the love that you guys have shown my Fixing Phase 4 and Phase 5 videos, which have been two of my highest viewed videos on this channel, which thank you so much to all of y'all that have watched those, and my Building a Better DC Cinematic Universe videos, which again, some of the highest scoring videos I've had, that it would be kind of fun to do something that I have been thinking for a while. I think that a lot of y'all that are fans of Disney, especially Disney World in Orlando, have thought, and that is there's a lot of things that could be improved with Disney World, especially the Disney World of today, that, I don't know, some of the choices that they're making, I just don't like. And I think that they could vastly be improved. So, why not do that? This video is going to be Magic Kingdom, and I will be making others. One for Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and then Hollywood Studios. And it's just my interpretation. I'm taking what's there. I'm going to add some stuff, take away some stuff, and possibly relocate some stuff. But I wanted to show you how I would reinterpret Magic Kingdom. And again, as my friend Uncle Joe said in the intro, Josh D'Amaro, you about to lose your job. But before we get into it, please, if you would, drop a comment down below. If you've been to Disney World, if you think that they're in need of a little bit of an overhaul, drop a comment down below. I'd love to talk to you. And as well, drop a like. And also, a lot of y'all, I know a lot of y'all, especially those that watched my Marvel and DC videos, if I had that many subscribers by now, I would be awesome. But a lot of y'all watch my videos, don't subscribe. Come on over to the channel. I would love to have you. We can make more content like this. If you have ideas for videos that you'd love to see from this channel, I'd love to hear from you. But please subscribe. It would definitely help out the channel, help it to grow, and help continue to make videos like this. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Smile, everyone! We're back.
So I thought what we would do in these videos is to go through each existing section of the park, especially as we start with Magic Kingdom, and talk about what I would do different in these sections of the park. Of course, as you walk into Magic Kingdom, the first land that you see, kind of a entryway into the rest of Disney World, is Main Street USA. I love Main Street USA. I think it is fun. I think it is really a great way to experience the opening of the park. And there is only really one change that I would make to this, and that is to move one ride to Main Street USA. Because there's no rides there, it's more shops, it's more restaurants. But I feel like if you give this part of the park a ride, and I have exactly what ride I would put, I think that it would vastly improve this section of the park and would actually have people lingering there a little bit more than they already are, because most people just go through Main Street USA and really don't give it another thought because they're so busy wanting to get to the rest of the parks. But I would add to Main Street USA a ride that currently is in Hollywood Studios, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. The reason why I would move this, and again, you're going to have to wait for my take on Hollywood Studios to know why, but I feel like because Magic Kingdom is more of a celebration of the Disney magic, and there is no character that represents that more than Mickey himself. And the fact that Magic Kingdom doesn't have a ride centered on him, and all you really have is this meet and greet section, I think it's a disservice to Mickey, and he's really the one that started it all, and the reason why Disney exists, why Disney World exists. So I wanted to give him a little bit of love, especially in Magic Kingdom, because he really doesn't have a lot of presence there. So I wanted to give him a little bit of love right as you come into the parks, because to many people, he is the entryway into the rest of the magic of Disney has been. Next, we go to Tomorrowland, and I have to say, I love Tomorrowland as is, but there is really only one change I would make to Tomorrowland, and that is only because I would not have in this section of the park neither Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, because I want to move that to another park actually entirely, which I will talk about more in the future, and that whole Stitch ride that they turned extraterrestrial into was a mistake, so I want to fix that. And the way that I would fix it is by giving love to a Disney movie that gets a lot of love nowadays, but when it came out really didn't, and that is Treasure Planet, by giving it its own ride at Tomorrowland. And I think it would be fitting to kind of have a ride that leaves Tomorrowland, quote unquote, and transports you into the world of the Ethereum. And that is Treasure Planet Voyage of the Ethereum. I think this should be a trackless dark ride. You would ride mini solar skiffs, and it would be a really cool idea. Either that or have ships like the Peter Pan ride, but have this be more of a trackless ride, voyaging through space. Have, of course, Captain Amelia, Silver, and Dr. Doppler, and really give a lot of love to that property that is a masterful movie that, like a lot of the movies of that era, don't get enough love if you're not Stitch. And don't worry, Stitch is going to get some love here in Magic Kingdom, but it's just not at this particular section. But I think the rest of Tomorrowland, there's nothing I would change. I think it's one of the lands in the park that does the most right in the things that it brings in and the amount of rides. There are a lot of different things that you could do, some that are more thrilling, like Tron's Light Cycle Run, and things like the People Mover or Astro Orbiter that are more family friendly. So no notes really, except for let's give some Treasure Planet love to Tomorrowland. Next up is Fantasyland. Now, because Fantasyland is so big and there's sections, I wanted to do some shifting because a lot of Fantasyland, again, is really nice, but I think there's some things that could be improved. And the castle courtyard, and this is where right when you get under the castle, you go underneath, and right now it houses Small World, Peter Pan's Flight, Prince Charming's Regal Carousel. But I also wanted to move Dumbo, the Flying Elephant. The Dumbo ride I would love to have in this section of the park because I have something else planned for the section that it is currently in Magic Kingdom. But again, I would leave most of it exactly the same as it is. The Enchanted Forest section of Magic Kingdom that currently houses Mad Tea Party, the Mine Train, Winnie the Pooh, Journey of the Little Mermaid, I would, number one, add to this section, and I actually have a place where I would put it in this section, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. This is a ride that used to be at Magic Kingdom, and I never got to ride it. I know it's currently at Disneyland, but I feel like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is something that they could bring back and would really be kind of fun to have in this section of the park. Along with that, I would also have kind of a very gentle ride based on Tangled and have it be called Rapunzel's Journey Through Corona. A trackless dark ride, very gentle again, like I said, with some nice outdoor scenes, indoor scenes, something that families could ride, especially little children, and it's just a nice little smooth ride. We of course get to see Flynn Rider, Rapunzel, and a lot of the other characters in that world because it's a movie, again, I'm trying to give some love to some of the movies that don't get some love, and Tangled was amazing. Some might say better than Frozen.
Move this man!
I know, shock and horror, but I think that having a ride for Tangled centered around Rapunzel and have it be more of a simple ride, I think would be nice for this section of the park. Now, the reason why I moved Dumbo, I was a lover of Mickey's Toontown back when I was younger. I got to witness this section of the park, and the fact that they stole it is atrocious. So I am going to reinstate that, take away Dumbo's Storybook Land, because that's just a waste of space. And I wanted to put back a lot of the elements that were there before, because of course you still have Barnstormer there that used to be called Goofy's Barnstormer. So all you really need to do is put back the Mickey and Minnie houses, the Donald boat, and have just a walkthrough section for kids to play around in. I think that's a good section of the park, and you still have a little bit of a family coaster that families can ride. Again, Magic Kingdom is built more for all families, and the fact that, you know, you only have Dumbo and then a tent with a large store in it. Again, I know Disney wants to sell things, especially now they're nickel and diming everybody.
We've got to have money.
But let's bring some of the magic back to Magic Kingdom. These are the most classic of classic characters for Disney. Some well-deserved love. With all of the talk of the villains getting a new villain land, I thought I would take a stab at making a land in between Fantasyland and Liberty Square centered on the villains. And I thought, okay, if Disney's going to do it, I'm going to do it first. Watch them. They may even take some of my ideas. Wink, wink. So I thought of having a brand new land and having it be called Shadowlands, Realm of the Villains. This is me, whole cloth. We're making this portion of the park whole cloth. And I would start it with one of the greatest villains in Disney's catalog, and that is Maleficent, by having a high thrill ride, Maleficent's Flight, an indoor suspended coaster with projection mapping and animatronics, guest boarding, an enchanted glider, sent on a mission to steal back Maleficent's staff from heroic intruders. Now the ride swoops through the Forbidden Mountain, over Thorn Forest, and into dragon battle scenes, have some heat elements like the Revenge of the Mummy, and really giving this character that is one of Disney's scariest villains her due. Next, I would have Dr. Facilier's Shadow Bayou. I think Dr. Facilier is one of Disney's greatest villains that they've created. Keith David knocked it out of the park, and not having him be more of a presence in the park, especially if you're making a land centered on villains, I think is a terrible thing to do. But I would have Dr. Facilier's Shadow Bayou, and kind of a Rise of the Resistance trackless movement ride, not as grand as Rise of the Resistance in size, but something where he lures guests into the Shadow Realm to strike a deal, but with the friends on the other side having other plans. And of course, things go awry, combining physical swamp sets, glowing fireflies, and projection-based shadow creatures that move between vehicles. Kind of a cousin of Haunted Mansion, if you will. Next, I would have Ursula's Maelstrom, and this is kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean, but with a darker twist. Thrill level is meant for families, and it's an indoor water ride with some mild drops, having guests venture into Ursula's lair to strike a bargain for power, traveling past singing animatronic sea creatures and massive eel animatronics of Flotsam and Jetsam, with the finale being a recreation of the Stormy Whirlpool sequence with dome effects that make you feel like you're actually spinning towards Ursula's giant form. Of course, you can do that with projections. You don't have to actually build something huge like they did with Confrontation in Universal Studios, but it would actually give Ursula some love outside of just the traditional ride that they've done several times over, retelling The Little Mermaid. Next, I would give some love to one of the most enigmatic villains in the Disney catalog, Hades, with Hades Underworld Racer. High thrill level ride, kind of a twist on Tron's Light Cycle Run, but with more of a rock and fire theme, with the guests racing through flaming caverns in the underworld, maybe seeing Cerberus, which we saw briefly in the Hercules film, chased by spirits as they are going through. And I would have Hades kind of the center point on this ride, but have him be more of a sarcastic commentator, maybe even making fun of the guests, and maybe have that be a really interactive element where Hades is just roasting guests. I think that would be kind of funny, especially with Hades' whole personality. I think that would be a really cool thing to see. Next to last in the Shadowlands section of the park, I would have the Queen's Hall of Deception. This is something that is more exploratory and discovery based, a walkthrough attraction, like an escape room in a way, where they're going through this walkthrough attraction, trying to get out of the Evil Queen's castle, navigating through magic mirror chambers, poison gardens, and have it really be a magical experience like you have stepped into Wonderland. Lastly, of course, we've called it the Shadowland, so we cannot leave out what I think is the epitome of Disney villains. I know, fight me. Scar's Reign, which is a moderate to high thrill level ride, kind of like Big Thunder Mountain meets Seven Dwarfs Mine Train with more dramatic theming, set in the Elephant Graveyard, and have it be a coaster with dark ride show scenes as well. Liberty Square I would leave kind of the same. I like it as is, and I love Haunted Mansion. That is one of my favorite rides at Disney World. Every time I go, I visit, and I make it a point to go in. No notes. Liberty Square is a nice area, and especially with the inclusion of Shadowlands, I think there's plenty to do. Next is Frontierland, and honestly, I have a couple things I'd like to add. And actually, Cars has no place in Liberty Square, but they may have a place coming up, and that is Frontierland. Now, Frontierland has a lot of the things that I enjoy. Big Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain. Yes, I don't like Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I feel like that ride was a misfire from the beginning, and I love Splash Mountain. Yes, whatever. Okay. Country Bear Musical Jamboree, all of that, I love it, and I visit that every time I go, all of those. But if we're gonna do Cars, I think the best way to do Cars in Magic Kingdom is to have a ride called Cruisin' Through Radiator Springs. Again, we're in Frontierland, and I thought Radiator Springs reminds me, especially that portion of Cars 1 where Sally and Lightning are cruising through this Grand Canyon area. That was beautiful, and I think that having a ride, especially with the theming of Big Thunder Mountain already present, I feel like that would be really nice. Have guests entering through the Radiator Springs Welcome Center, having the jukebox playing, of course have Life is a Highway playing, and just ride through Radiator Springs and maybe seeing some scenes from the movie like Tractor Tippin'. I think that would be a nice ride to include, and it would give Cars a little bit of presence in a portion of the park that it actually makes sense for them to be in. Lastly, and this is one of the sections that I give a little bit of extra love to, and that is Adventureland. Now, there's a lot in Adventureland that I would keep the same, like Pirates of the Caribbean, of course, that is a must. But there are some things that I desperately need to address. Let's talk about Aladdin, because Aladdin, he got a rip-off Dumbo ride, and that is all of the Aladdin that we get in Adventureland, and I want to change that because he needs a little bit more love, especially because he was one of the Renaissance movies, and there really isn't a lot with Aladdin in the parks. So let's change that with Aladdin's Magic Carpet Escape. I would have this be a kind of a flying theater dark ride, like Soarin', but
faster and more intense. That was his main direction.
And have it be, of course, them going on the magic carpet and racing through Agrabah, and have some thrilling scenes, maybe in the Cave of Wonders, and have Jafar, of course, unleashing chaos. I wanted to have Jafar represented here instead of in Shadowlands, because I wanted him to have a really good presence here, maybe have him turn into the snake and all of that, and have the guests having to race through and escape Jafar as the ride goes on. Of course, I would have things like the Enchanted Tiki Room still there. Jungle Cruise, I think, also should be there. And, of course, we got to keep Pirates, but I did want to make 2 more additions to this area of the park, and that is, we need to give Stitch some love, and I thought that with the Enchanted Tiki Room, it'd be nice to have also a Stitch ride here in Adventureland. I mean, Stitch is all about the adventure in Hawaii, so let's give him his own Ohana adventure with another trackless dark ride, family friendly, and have something that you can ride a lot of the time with a lot of details scattered around. And the concept for this ride being, of course, that you're invited to this big celebration that Lilo and Nani are throwing in Kauai. Naturally, Stitch is in charge of decorations and food, which of course means that hilarity and chaos would ensue. You are pulled through beaches, villages, and maybe even go underwater, all without leaving the ride building. Again, I wanted to have this kind of be a ride where you kind of stay in place and have it be like a moving theater, if you will. And you will see Jumba, Pleakley, Gantu, all there causing chaos as poor Lilo and Nani are trying to get ready for this party. Have Cobra Bubbles there, and just again, have it be a fun ride that lives up to what Stitch needs to have in the park, because Stitch is fun. Lastly, and here is where I would include Tiana. Okay, we have Dr. Facilier getting his own ride over in Shadowlands, but I feel like Adventureland should have a New Orleans section of the park. And I would actually have this new section be between Adventureland and Liberty Square, kind of have another way that guests could go through, and it would kind of help the traffic in the park as well. And at the center of this New Orleans Square, again, I would have a gorgeous New Orleans restaurant, which of course you need, maybe even be Tiana's restaurant. But at the center of this portion of the park would be Tiana's Bayou Chase, because again, I like Splash Mountain. We didn't need to do anything with Splash Mountain, but I think that Princess and the Frog deserves a lot of love because it is one of the more recent Disney films that did a lot right. And I would have this be a trackless dark ride with spinning and small little bounce effects, with the concept being the grand opening of Tiana's Palace. Maybe even the exit of this ride be a gift shop that connects to the restaurant as well. And you kind of get that synergy with the ride and the restaurant. So people start smelling the food. Maybe they're tempted to eat there as well, because I know how good New Orleans food can be. But it's the grand opening of Tiana's Palace, and the concept of this ride is that you're making a special delivery of ingredients for the evening celebration. But, of course, Dr. Facilier's shadow spirits have other plans. They steal the delivery crate, and you can even have a synergy between Shadowlands and this portion of the park, where maybe Dr. Facilier in his ride mentions that some of the spirits are off trying to find something. You know, you could tease that and have guests kind of want to go to both sections of the park while they are visiting Magic Kingdom. The spirits steal the delivery crate, and you have to chase them through the streets of New Orleans into the bayou and beyond. Of course, you would have Mama Odie present there. You would have a scene that has Dr. Facilier, who, of course, he is having to deal with this before he goes back to his shop. And, of course, have a portion of the French Quarter, the Bayou, all represented. And it all ends kind of like how Tiana's Bayou Adventure ends today, with a party at Tiana's Palace. And, again, you have that scene leading into the restaurant itself, which again would create a lot of synergy in the park. But that is what I would do for Magic Kingdom. Again, a lot of changes, a lot of additions that I think would add to what is already a great park, but in many ways has lost its way. And I think that these additions are going to give some love to some properties that desperately need it, and I think they're a welcome addition. So that was Magic Kingdom. What did you think? I would love to hear in the comments down below. Do you agree with the changes that I made? I know I added some things, but I want to see if you guys agree. Maybe y'all have better ideas. I would love to hear. This is our video, just like I did with the Marvel videos, with the DC videos. This is for all of us. And I want y'all to give me your opinions down below. I think that we could start a really awesome discussion and see kind of where your mind is at. Maybe you guys have some better ideas than I did, and I'd love to hear you out. Again, I'm going to be dropping more videos for each park. I think Animal Kingdom will be next, followed by Epcot, and then Hollywood Studios. And I would love to hear what you guys thought. Thank you again for watching, and as well, please subscribe, please drop a like down below, and again, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, go with grace.